Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Watch That Movie podcast. I'm Edgar, your host. Here we talk about movies. I will review movies as they come out and we'll discuss any news going on in Hollywood, Oscar buzz whenever the award season rolls around, or just anything, pretty much anything movie related, because that's the kind of things that I'm really into. And if you like movies or if you're into the Hollywood buzz, or if you know a lot of actors, or if what have you, this is the place for you if you want to hear someone yap about all the movies, because I always go out in movie theaters and having no one to talk to, at least enough to the point to where I annoy people. So that's what this place is here for you today. Today we'll be reviewing Warfare, the newest film that's produced by A24 and co-directed by Ray Mendoza and Alex Garland. Before we get into that, just a few things that I feel like are somewhat relevant and timely, and just very interesting. I won't be reviewing the Minecraft movie. For one, because it's the Minecraft movie, and that just, I don't know, call me an old head, or maybe I'm just out of it. That movie does not appeal to me. It clearly wasn't intended for audiences like me. I like Minecraft. I played a good amount of it, but I feel like the it's just not going to be for me. I mean, for the reviews that I've seen and that I've heard about that are taking the movie seriously, it's not good. It's not good in the slightest. And the only thing positive that I have to hear about is the experience, and that experience being the memes. Because up right before the movie was officially premiered and released worldwide, I have been getting nothing but endless memes of Minecraft. And really, what it really is, if you don't know what's going on, there's this big and humongous trend, something I haven't seen since I think that new Despicable Me movie, or that Minion movie came out. There was like a lot of I remember when there was like a bunch of people, especially mainly young teens, uh, mainly guys, dressing up as suits and going to the premiere of, I think it was, I gotta say, it was like the latest Minions movie, or the Despicable. I think it was the latest Minions movie. Um, but people were showing up to that in droves, dressed up in suits, and it was, that was the thing, and that was that was the event. And but the thing with this, with Minecraft, people are showing up again, mostly teens and young adults, men specifically, um, are showing up and just treating every moment, every line that Jack Black says, because the whole meme, if you don't understand the meme of what's going on in Minecraft, like why is everyone freaking out about this, or what is the meme, what is the Minecraft meme? It's literally just Jack Black saying Minecraft terminology. Just Jack Black saying chicken jockey, or hot lava and chicken, or just him saying Minecraft things, because because before the movie came out, that's all we knew about the movie, or like that's all that was the one thing that everyone caught on, is like, is this movie just Jack Black saying um, Minecraft terminology, just him saying Minecraft words, and that'll be the entire movie. And literally every trailer, every TV spot, every advertisement you saw for this movie was literally just that, just Jack Black, just saying all the all the terms like boots of swiftness, diamond, full set of armor, flint and steel, and, and it got some, and it got, and there were so many to a point that it was kind of ridiculous and hilarious. Um, and that's what people showed up for. Is every time Jack Black would say something on the screen, they would lose it so much that it'd be, you can see videos online. You can go look it up. People just throwing popcorn absolutely everywhere, treating it like it's Avengers Endgame and Infinity War times 10. But and I feel really bad because I used to work at the movie theaters, and I feel really bad for the employees of movie theaters and having to clean that up, because they're purposely, one thing, they're purposely doing it. They're purposely throwing all the popcorn, and I've seen a lot of situations where movie theaters, the managers are just kicking them out, because like, we're pausing the movie, you're done, get out of here. A lot of cases are happening with that. Um, And it's kind of like I don't want to go to a movie theater and have to deal with that. And if there's a case where I show up to a movie theater and it is empty, what I'm gonna go through is just a bad movie. And I know the entire point of movie reviews or film critiques is that you need to have form your own opinion. But I don't need to go to Burger King to know that it tastes like Burger King. No shame to Burger King, but I feel like it's agreed upon in society that Burger King ain't the best, and is far from its heydays. Basically, doesn't taste any good. So it's pretty clear when some movies aren't going to be good, and it's clear, and I feel like a lot of people are, and that's another thing that I wanted to touch on is that the big thing that does annoy me, and I hate to be all serious about it, especially with a movie called a Minecraft movie with Jack Black and Jason Momoa in like on a pink jacket. Um, a movie that isn't taking itself too seriously. I don't mean to be super serious about this, but it is. I mean, this is gonna end up being um, a propulsion of more movies like this. Like the Hollywood and the studios are gonna look at this and say, "This is what we want." And I think they're aware of why the success of Minecraft the Minecraft movie is having. I think they're clearly aware of why the people are simply going it for the memes. Um, but this is like seeing movies immediately gain so much success, and then movies like Mickey 17 that's come out and Black Bag that's already going immediately to streaming. It's just um, not a good look and not a good poll poll taking, or I don't know if they're studying audiences and gauging the reactions. This is going to send the wrong message of what kind of movies we want. Um, and you see people like legitimately saying that it was a good movie, and I don't mean to hark on anyone's opinions. I mean, everyone are entitled to your own opinion, and I feel like movies and art are all subjective. But one thing that did bother me is that you see some people. I mean, at the end of the day, let's be serious. Minecraft movie is not a serious movie, nor is it most likely in most serious eyes a good movie. Um, and I also see a lot of opinions online saying, "Oh, critics don't get it. Critics get it wrong again with video game adaptations because we've seen this with Five Nights at Freddy's, we've seen this with Super Mario Brothers, where the audience reception, the audience reviews are much more favorable than the critic reviews. And what what a lot of people get from that is, oh, the critics simply don't understand anymore. And when a lot of people talk about that, they go to Rotten Tomatoes, which is not a good way to gauge critical reception, or because that's a whole other video. But if you want to look at reviews and gauge what critics and people think, sure, you can look at Rotten Tomatoes for that. But if you want to gauge at what critics think, Rotten Tomatoes is not an accurate source and not an accurate way to determine that. Well, what I'm saying is that people think that critics are out of touch, uh, and that a lot of people think that, oh, these are good movies, and they have it wrong. And I feel like that comes from the mentality of thinking because I like something, it has to be good, or because I enjoyed my time with that when watching the movie, it must be a good movie. And there's no harm in thinking that, but I feel like that kind of logic um, is harmful to the landscape of reviewing and discussing about movies because I'm seeing like a lot of situations where people are bringing up movies from their nostalgia or from their childhood and saying, "Guys, this is a good movie. What the heck are you talking about?" And in most cases, um, it becomes very debatable because some movies are bad for a reason, and and I feel like we tend to attach our feelings and our sentiments and our experiences with when watching movies and pair that with uh, with our opinion of the movie. Like, because I feel this, the movie must be this. Um, and so I feel like that's what's happening here. You see a lot of people legitimately, taking the stance of saying Minecraft is a good movie. What do you want? It has all the things that Minecraft fans love. We know it's not taking itself seriously, so why should you take it seriously? Um, and again, I only care about that so much because if we set the bar that low, that's all we're gonna get from movies. And you already see a lot of um, movies like that that are coming out, and and it just and the reason why I'm talking about this so much today is because I was reading a Twitter thread, various on social media, just reading threads of people like discussing the movie and how seriously they're taking it or whether they like it or not, and then a conversation went uh, down to along the lines of, "Man, I really like the Emoji Movie. I don't understand why people didn't like that movie when it came out, but I think it's a really good movie." And that's when I realized I'm like, we're lost. We're way too far from whatever this into whatever this is. But sorry to rant about that. I mean, I probably sounded like I was talking about a lot of nothing, but you know, that's my take on the Minecraft movie. Good for people who are enjoying it. I'm not gonna go watch it. Um, yeah, go ahead. If you liked it, I mean, sure. Let me know why you liked it. I mean, but I'm guaranteeing there's going to be a few, but guarantee if you're somewhat interested in watching it and have respect and they're pretty picky, not picky, but if you like good movies and if you want to watch this movie, it's not going to be the same if you watch it by yourself or in an audience that isn't that reactive. And if you're not watching it, and if you're watching it in an audience that's not reactive, and if it's not good, how good is the movie? Like, if a movie needs an experience like that, if a movie needs a reaction experience like that, then it's probably not a good movie. Which is probably not gonna why I'm not gonna watch it because I don't want to be in an audience full of people yelling and talking over every single line. And if I watch it by myself, most likely I'm not gonna like it. But that's my take on the Minecraft movie, even though I haven't watched it. So what you don't have to listen to me because I haven't even watched it yet. So that's my one thing. The reason why I'm here and why you should bother listening to me is because I'm watching movies and I will be giving my take on them. So today we're talking about Warfare. Let's move on to the main subject, Warfare. The newest film produced by A24. Alex Garland is co-directing it with veteran Ray Mendoza. Ray Mendoza is an actual Navy SEAL veteran. He has worked in Hollywood mainly as, I guess he was an advisor, uh, as like a military advisor, like with technical aspects, like in how, I don't know, weapons should be used or how the all the nitty gritty details that military men have to go through various films, or he's a technical advisor. And he's been executive producers and producers for TV series and other movies. But this is his first directorial debut and his first writer debut, and he is co-writing it and co-directing it with film veteran Alex Garland. If you don't know who he is, he directed Civil War, which is the movie that came out last year, also produced by A24. Um, I thought that was an okay movie. I think it was really impressive in a technical aspect, and a lot of people's issue with it is that it had nothing to say about war. And since it took place in a fictional America where America was fighting amongst itself, it also had nothing to say with the real politics that was happening in America. So that's why people really didn't like it because it felt like a nothing burger. Um, but I liked it. I thought it was okay. I really respected was what it was doing. But I don't think it is a movie that I'll like go back to. I feel like only will I watch that movie for hindsight's sake, depending on how history goes in the future, if you know what I mean. Because I think I watched that like I think I rewatched that movie last year just before the elections. Not to be like not to like it's like out myself as someone. Oh my God, it's over. Like blah blah blah. Blah. We're so doomed. But my mentality was along those lines. You can't deny there was huge diversity in America along in every election. So that's where my mind was, and that was the last time I watched it. I watched it two times. Um, so that movie was okay, and he's back again, Alex Garland, to direct another movie, but this one based on real events because the big tag, not the big tagline, but a tagline of this movie is that this movie is based on memory. Um, so it's not like I mean, it did happen, but like movies usually uh, say based on true events or inspired by true events or um, based on a true story, But this is based on memory. In other words, to say that everything that you see in the film is as the Ray Mendoza direct remembers it, because this story is about a mission that he went through, apparently, and that's the movie that he wanted to tell. And I guess Alex Garland um, really, really wanted to make it because they both worked together on in Civil War, if I remember correctly. Because he was also Ray Mendoza was also a military advisor in that movie because it also involved war and soldiers. But so this one is based on true events, and to start off, what I really liked about this movie, it was intense. I watched in IMAX. I think it had a slightly larger aspect ratio. I don't think it had the standard widescreen aspect ratio. I could be wrong. It didn't have the full legitimate square. Whoops, sorry. It didn't have the full square IMAX aspect ratio that you see like in Interstellar or other Christopher Nolan films, but I think it was slightly bigger, and that's why I wanted to watch it. It was being premiered in IMAX. So that was the big reason why I watched it there, because it was being premiered earlier, and that after watching it in that theater, uh, that is the only way I would recommend watching that movie, or close to it. Maybe a Dolby theater would be my second recommendation, because the sound in this movie is absolutely immersive, outstanding. It's guttural. It is like, it's not loud for loudness sake. It's loud because it just propels you into the, like, I know it's really it's an easy win to say a movie has good sound, and like what when it deals with like warfare, and so like, guess so what, it's the guns sound cool, or like the guns sound loud. But I feel like what makes this movie extra special is just how, I don't know. I feel like I've never I've never been around guns, so I'm not an expert. But based on every other movie that I've heard with weapons like these, this one sounds most realistic. I mean, it sounds like nothing I've ever heard before, and you can hear all the ricochets from the walls, and the firing in the distance, and you can hear it as it impacts the environment around it. So, and then you can hear the bullet casings falling off the ground. Everything just felt very realistic, and the sound was immense because I was in an IMAX theater, and it just put me right there in this on the line with the characters in the film. And so hats off. I really, really hope this movie gets nominated for that, for best sound, because Civil War also had impressive sound design, um, but it wasn't nominated nor recognized at all in almost any award shows. So I really hope that it gets recommended here, because wow, Warfare's sound design is absolutely incredible. The quietness is uh is chilling, and the loudness is uh like nothing I've ever heard before. So moving on to the just to touch on little bit of the plot. I will say, and this isn't really a spoiler, well, maybe, but not really. This movie takes place on one location, basically. This movie takes place on towards the end of a mission. Uh, a Navy SEAL team um, are overseeing a marine operation um, in Iraq. I think, yeah, it's because this is during the Iraq War. Um, so this Navy SEAL team is overseeing the end of a mission and making sure that everything goes well. There's a sniper watching the vicinity, and everything's supposed to, go along as planned. The Marines do their stuff, they pull out, and call it a day. But for this, the reason what makes it special, or the reason why the movie exists, is because things don't go as planned, and they take on fire, and they have to fight their way out, and you're stuck in this location and you're with these characters as they try to uh, hold their position, fight back, and get out of there alive. Um, and even though we don't, this isn't really narrative story in a typical sense, because what this movie is going for is realism, um, not really trying to make any heroes like other war movies do, because and that's my thing, and that's what I want to also touch on a little briefly is what this movie has to say about war, and people might be turned off by this movie or might not want to watch this movie because the Iraq War is very, very controversial. It is a tragic era uh, of loss of life due to not knowing of who our enemy was, at least in the position of the United States. I'm not really going to get into the nitty gritty of the events of the actual Iraq War, but just know that if you're making a movie about the Iraq War, you better have a good reason for making a movie about Iraq War, and but I feel like, but just to quickly jump ahead and just to get that out there, I feel like this movie does a lot more than other movies like it, and I feel like it warrants its existence um, because of it, and not much. I mean, I won't lie to you. It doesn't. It's not really a big. It's not the loudest anti-war film, and it is not, and it is not really saying much about America's policy and the negative effects that war had towards the Middle East. But this story uh, is really important, and you can tell that by the way it's told, and the way they're telling it in a realistic sense goes to show that they're not really trying to create a narrative. They're not trying to um, say who was right or who was wrong or who the hero was and who the bad guys were. This is a situation where you have um, Navy SEALs, brothers in arms, um, who are trying to get out of there. And yeah, it's really intense. It really, really there's gore. So I also would caution those who have a weak stomach, I guess, because it really and people with PTSD, I would also not recommend because this is because there's people who are in that theater who are uncomfortable because of the things they're watching or the things they're experiencing because this movie really puts you through it. I mean, it is one of the. I mean, I was talking about the sound a lot, but everything else that happens in the movie is uh, masterfully crafted, and it puts you on in the shoes of the people in the film. The cast is outstanding. You have Joseph Quinn, you have Kit Connor, you have Will Poulter. Who else we got here? Noah Centineo. I think he was in that Kissing Booth movie. I could be wrong, um, or maybe he's in something else. But there's a lot of actors. I want to get this name right because he's the main character and he's playing the role of Ray Mendoza because Ray Mendoza is the one who experienced this mission and he's the one telling the story. So DeFaro Woon Atai, that is the actor's name who's playing Ray Mendoza, the soldier, the main character that we see in this story. He did really well. I did feel really connected with this cast. Again, like I said, we didn't really get into a lot of their characters, and they're not really trying to tell a story. But through the little uh, characterizations, through the little habits and the little, just the way the actors portray these real life people, make them feel lived in, make them feel real, and are able to connect with just a little bit, um, enough for you to really care about their safety and wanting them to get out of there. This movie does a really good job of making sure where you are in the location, even though it's a small location, does a really good job um, of just being the environment feels very lived in. Like every single corner of this place, of that street, of the house, of where they are, and that's the goal. And all the jargon, all the military lingo is one of the most realistic things ever. I mean, this is probably the most realistic war film I've ever seen. Um, and it's really impressive. And that hats off to Ray Mendoza because he was probably the one who was in charge of that. Clearly, the actors, the group who plays the Navy SEAL team Alpha One, which is the group, the main characters that we center on. Those actors, they went through like a 3 week boot camp. Basically, they went through training similar to experience what Navy SEAL soldier has to go through to train and be ready for combat. And it really, and through that, you can really tell that they're very used to this. They're very comfortable, and um, I would like to see. I like seeing those videos like expert reacts to blah blah blah. I would like to see a Navy SEAL veteran react to this and see what they have to say and see how accurate it is because it really does seem accurate, and it's really impressed. So the cast was absolutely great. Um, the action was very uh, intense, and I want to say that it is entertaining. I mean, it is cool to see a violence, but I feel like uh, the way that the movie tells the story, and it is the way it is, and the way it's made. It really is trying to um, ground the movie rather than awe you. You can be awed by it if you want, but I feel like the movie was clearly trying to ground it as much as possible, give you the most realistic experience so you can really um, feel what's happening rather than trying to dazzle you with violent spectacle. Um, and that's why I feel like is one of the reasons why this movie does a bit more than you know than what other um, war movies do. They show the enemies getting killed. Like you at this throughout this movie, you have almost have no idea where any of the enemies are. You sometimes see um, men who are attacking the Navy SEALs. You see heads poke up, but you don't know where the gunfire is coming from. So um, it really uh, it really is uh, trying to give a first person perspective in the truest sense in the truest sense by allowing that to happen. You see some moments of like POV bird's eye view shots of airplanes or drones of them doing thermal scans around the area, which is also really impressive. Um, and then sometimes you have it shifts away from one perspective to another group approaching the main cast, but for the most part, it's all first person perspective through the eyes of the main character and the other team Navy SEAL soldiers surrounding him. Um, one more thing, what else I want to say before I get into my last note? Um, yeah, there's a lot of cool sequences. Some things that I'd never seen in a war film before, some things that I didn't know were done in military combat. If everything is to be as realistic as they say it is, um, there was no music except for like one the very beginning of this movie. I did not think I was watching the right movie. That was just uh, the characters playing a song, but there was no music. There was no um, score to support the story being told, which is um, very impressive. It's not saying a lot, but at the same time, it tells you again. It's movies are like a manipulation tactic in filmmaking, trying to evoke an emotion out of you by making you feel a certain way, whether that's to make you more excited, whether that's to scare you, whether that's to make you feel at calm, at peace, to make you feel adventurous. And because there's no score, all you see on the screen is what you should be feeling. All the characters experience um, is all it's trying to say, and I'll just head into my last um, subject. I feel like, and this is getting into slight spoilers, because I don't really want to talk about the whole mission of what goes on because this is a pretty short movie. I feel like it could have gone a bit longer, and I'll touch on what it could have gone a little bit longer into, but only slightly because if the entire movie goes by exactly as one would experience it. There's no other than one or two moments. There's no once the day of the mission of the final day of the mission starts, when the plot starts, um, there's no jump cuts, or there's no time skips, whatever. Uh, it goes second by second, minute by minute. The entire experience is as one would experience it going through the mission. So um, it was a really short movie. I feel like they could have add on linger on just a bit of the moments that I really appreciated and why I think this movie stands out from other movies like this. There is a moment in the end, and there are moments where the Navy SEAL team members, again, slight spoilers, the Navy SEAL soldiers um, break into this house and use it as a base to commence the operation. And there's a family that's living there, and they have to sit through all this violence, and it's very tragic. And you see their reactions, and they're very upset, and they're very scared. And they're scared not because of the violence; they're scared because of the soldiers, because they don't understand them. They're invading their home, and I feel like because you see that perspective, you see this movie is leaning anti-war. Again, one could argue that this movie doesn't have to be made because there is no movie that is anti-war, because in the end, one would argue that seeing violence on screen, especially a movie about the Iraq War, would do nothing else other than to promote, violence, because guns are cool, because soldiers are cool, because that's people's natural reaction to soldiers fighting for America, one would say. So, but I feel like lingering on these moments with this family whose home is being used and occupied by the Navy SEALs, it puts into perspective and has a lot to say with the very little time it has, because it is a very short movie. And towards the end of the film, once the soldiers have completed their mission and they leave, the dust settles, the rubble has fallen, and there's blood throughout the house from the injuries that you see in the film. The family are like, they're devastated. It lingers on them, and they're relieved that the soldiers left. Again, like they're relieved from the soldiers that are left because they're in fear for their lives. And you get a scene after that where um, the people that the Navy SEAL soldiers were fighting come out of their positions and are also seeing relieved. Two of them hugging each other. Um, so I mean, again, it's just a small moment, and you could say that that's not really saying anything, or it doesn't really justify making a movie like this. But I feel like because it is aware of the tragedy that happened, that is this war, or because of the innocent lives that were lost because of the intrusion of the American military in Iraq. Um, because if you don't know, Iraq War was started because of the supposed WMDs that were reportedly um, act present in Iraq, when in the case that wasn't true. So one would say there is no reason for the war to have happened in Iraq specifically, even though in most people's memory, um, the war in Iraq was a reaction and our answer to 9/11. But I'm not the biggest historical expert. Based on uh, my research on the as a journalist, like I remember having to read about what exactly was the cause of this war, and America's answer to 9/11. Uh, it is a lot of information, and I can't fully state my opinion on these things because I'm not 100 don't have a 100% grasp on it. But simply based on the movies that I've seen that deal with the Iraq War, this feels different, and I feel like that's why people should give it a chance. Um, but if you're I have a friend who says, I don't watch American war movies because they are in a way propaganda, and especially movies that have to deal with Iraq war. And I get that. I understand that sentiment 100%. But if you are interested in this movie, if you are leaning towards war movies or like that experience, or if you like to see movies that are well technically made, or if you want to hear the story, I couldn't recommend it enough. I think it was a really great film. I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Um, yeah, 4 out of 5 stars is my rating, and is what I'll give it. It's not an enjoyable movie in the sense I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to watch this one again. But man, would I really like to experience this, if only not to experience it in IMAX or Dolby in a Dolby theater again, because this was such an intense movie experience, and I don't mean in the sense of people's audience reactions in the same way people are reacting to Minecraft. I mean being in the movie theater in the correct environment with the right sound on the biggest screen possible, watching a story like this with a lot of elements that include speeding jets over an entire building, tanks blowing into rooftops above you. Everything the characters experience is absolutely outstanding. I didn't get to touch on too much about Alex Garland and his director. Clearly all the cinematic elements and the technicalities, the sound design, uh, the way the lighting looks and the way the shots are composed are are probably going to be coming more from him. Um, but and you know, my friend was telling me the other day the reason he doesn't not really interested in watching this movie, and why he's not on the Alex Garland train is because he hasn't really had a lot to say about his last 2 movies, and one could say the same about this because it's not really this movie isn't really trying to say anything. It doesn't really have a strong message because it's simply trying to tell a story, experiences that a veteran has went through. Um, and this movie is muddy in terms of like talking about it. So I understand what I'm getting to, what I'm talking about it. What I'm really impressed by and what I really enjoy is the technical aspects, the filmmaking, the actors. Uh, it's really good stuff. And I would ask you to give it a shot if you're interested in watching this movie. But that's all I have to say about this. I really enjoyed it. I'm interested in seeing other work by Alex Garland. He wrote, not directed, but wrote 28 Years Later, which will come out in a month or two, either June or July. I'm really interested in seeing that movie. It was all shot on iPhone. That's really interesting. I know a lot of commercials or like to say that, or music videos like to say that, but that will be interesting. Even though he wrote it, I would like to see him another movie that he fully wrote and see how another director takes on his writing style. Um, but what did you think? If you like the movie or you want to watch it, leave a comment below wherever you're watching this. There are comments available on Spotify, I believe. If you're watching this on YouTube, give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, subscribe, and follow me on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts on Watch That Movie is the name of this show. I really hope you enjoy it. And if you're looking forward to my next movie review, I'll be watching Sinners, the latest film by Ryan Coogler, the director of Black Panther. He's coming out with a movie about Michael B. Jordan fighting vampires, if that's what I'm getting. I'll be watching that in IMAX and 70 millimeter. That'll be really impressive. I'll be watching in the same theater I watched this in, so I'll be in for another ride of incredible filmmaking and an immersive experience. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video, next episode. Bye bye.